What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another video on the channel. My name is Tam, and today I've got something very special, something that I hope we can continue here in the near future. I have a guest to sit down and chit-chat with on one of my Tam Talks. Chris, introduce yourself, man.
I'm Chris Bramley. I have a YouTube channel that I upload to every 14 years. It's called UNFUNSTUFF. And yeah, I played the Universal Fighting System or Universus or My Hero Academy card game for a couple years now. I suck and I don't win ever, but people like my stupid decks anyway.
How many PTC wins do you have? You've got one, right?
I got one. Yeah, I got one PTC win.
That's all I got too, man. Hey, look at us. Look at us. Hey, same level. Yeah. But no, Chris is one of the other amazing content creators for the game. I will leave a link to his channel in the description down below. So please make sure you go out and you subscribe. He's got a Patreon. He's got a Twitch channel. I will leave all of that down there so you can get well acquainted. He is one of, I've called him the mad scientist of this game. I think his takes and his opinions on this game are so exceptionally good, and he has taught me so much just in the conversations that we've had. And so I wanted to have him on today to talk about something that doesn't really get talked about specifically in universes, but happens in pretty much every other card game, and now it's going to happen in My Hero, and that is the idea of mirror matches, or playing the same character as your opponent and what you do against it. In universes, in UFS, Chris, do you have any stories about mirror matches that we can go over first for your personal take?
There was like a stream I did during the pandemic where Jose and I just played a bunch of mirror matches. Like we built decks to do mirrors, right?
Right.
So we had like a Raptor mirror where I was just like playing a bunch of things that like punished him for playing breaker abilities, punished him for playing flash attacks, and he was just playing a Raptor deck and stuff like that. And we played like a Donovan mirror where we tried to mill each other out.
From like making each other draw.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It was excruciating, actually.
That's so funny.
But it was fun because we built it from the perspective of knowing you were going to be playing a Raptor deck or playing the mirror, right? Specifically.
Right.
So you building for the mirror is such a wildly, vastly different thing than building for like a prepared format, though.
Correct.
Like in My Hero, I've played a few mirror matches. The like Jira mirrors are pretty funny.
Yeah.
And then I've played like a single Shigaraki mirror, and that one like is pretty interesting too. But like my experience is that experience is the most important factor, right?
For sure.
In My Hero, when I've played the mirror matches, I had way more experience than the newer player, and they just like did their normal game plan, and I was like, I just adjusted so that I could do my game plan better than them, you know. So in the case of Jiro, I was like, you know, I'm gonna make sure I survive their string. They're tapped out, and my string does 40 damage, right? Because that's what that character does, right? And then same with Shigaraki, it was like I built less greedy and I poked. They took the damage. I went on with my day. You know, I think that whoever plays control usually ends up winning mirror matches because you're coming from a place of like they're going from the same strategy. Now, if you have like some characters do vastly different things at different symbols. For instance, if I was playing like a good Jiro into an air Jiro, it would be a totally different game plan.
Yeah.
Or like the different Denkis on all of their symbols are way different too.
Yeah.
But you have to factor that into how you approach it, I think. But yeah, that's my experience.
That was one of the things that I was going to bring up when it came to like understanding and going for the mirror is like, especially without the diversity rule, which I'm going to talk about for literally this long. In classic standard universes, the game that's on the back of all of your My Hero cards, there is this rule that says inside of your top cuts, you can only have a specific character, one of a specific character inside of top cuts. So if I'm playing All Might and Chris is playing All Might and I get first place and he gets second place, he is kicked down to ninth place, which is an interesting rule, and we're not going to go into terribly much here, but it meant that the mirror match mattered so much terribly more in that game, to the point where there are some events that I've gone to at a national or world's level that my day was literally done day 2. I don't know what just happened
Round
there.
2, you mean, right?
Round 2, correct. Round 2, my day was literally done. It was over just because I'm playing the same character as Jacob Johnson, and he beats me round 2, and he's like almost guaranteed to top. Man, that is so frustrating. It is frustrating having the Jacob Johnsons, the Mark Tyners, the Tim Keefes, the Kevin Brobergs pick your character and go, shucks, well, I guess I didn't prepare well enough for this mirror match, and they did. And there's a lot of strategy that they do specifically in deck building. I played this specific card for the mirror, but that's not necessarily a thing that we have to do in this format just because the diversity rule doesn't exist. But you said that if you fight a Jiro or if you fight a Shigaraki, do you do any inside of your initial deck building for the mirror match? Is that a thing that do you want to be the best Jiro or the best Shigaraki at the tournament?
I don't know. I don't think I've ever constructed.
Personally.
Yeah, so outside of the Mimi, let's build decks to beat the mirror, I don't typically ever think about that, right? Like I don't ever come into a tournament thinking about a specific deck unless it is the deck, right? Like for example, at during the retro tournaments, I was like over prepared for blindfold meteor loops, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's like a specific thing that like I was careful about in the format. Like I prepare for a thing I know I'm likely to play into, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like if you're playing a low percentage character, then which is what I'm usually playing, I'm not going to be playing into the mirror very often, so why prepare for it at all, right?
Sure.
Especially since a lot of the time, if it is the same list, whoever is more skilled is going to win that matchup, right?
Very much so.
It's like either you get high rolled, which happens in any matchup, right?
Correct.
Doesn't matter about the mirror, or somebody played the game better. And like if you're just playing the best deck you possibly can and you're playing the best game you possibly can, then sure. Like I think it's kind of cheesy to have like something specific for one deck unless it's something that just blasts your ass, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, my approach is just to I'll prepare for the format, and if the format includes my character, like if I'm, for example, if I'm going to Omaha and I want to play Ida, then yeah, I want to have something that's going to be able to deal with Ida or Kirishima or something like that.
Correct. Yeah. Ida, Kirishima, Eraserhead, Jiro, I think are all classic example. Like I think those are some of the absolute best characters. Maybe Ida, not on that list per se, but like I mean, there's plenty of merit to like going into an event and being the best of your character and like feeling good about it and having the practice in these mirror matches that is worth it. Like we're gonna get into it eventually, but like when you sit down and you think about some of these decks, like just sitting down and thinking about the Jiro mirror, when do you use the peek at top 2? Do you use it whenever your opponent uses it? Do you use it whenever you have free information? Like just accept that they're going to have free information first and then you'll have free information second? Like do you do it based on whose turn or what your hand looks like? Like there's so much nuance when it comes to like not just automatically pressing the button, because as Jiro, 9 times out of 10, you just press the button. Right? Because you know that All Might's not going to affect that. You know that Eraserhead's not going to affect that. You know that whoever isn't going to affect that. Like you just press the button.
So let's dissect that one then, the Jiro, because that's one that we'll see for sure, right? I think that the Jiro player who is holding him and like analyzing what kind of deck the opponent's Jiro is playing, like if they're playing off of air or what's her all or air, is it all or good is going to be a staff strike deck, right?
9 times out of 10, yeah.
You hold 0 high blocks. That deck runs 0 high attacks, right?
Yeah.
It's all mids and lows. So you hold all your good mid blocks, you hold all your low blocks, right? So you like and like you don't know until you see what cards they're playing, but you know as soon as the first card gets put down, unless it's a special sound or something like that, right?
Right.
So you figure out, is this if it's a good or all deck, my block zones are exclusively mid, exclusively low. And if it's an air deck, it's exclusively high and maybe like one low, one mid. I would be surprised to see something like Unwavering Slash in an air Giro because it's such a high difficulty thing. Like that deck
Yeah.
lives and dies by its 3 diffs
Right.
basically. Um, but like the approach changes pretty wildly, pretty drastically because against the staff strike deck, if I'm playing an air deck, I need to blitz them.
Hmm.
Um, and if I'm doing like the mirror, I want to play control, right? So let's take it from both standpoints. I'm playing an air deck and I play into an air Jiro character, right?
Right.
Um, I am the one pressing the button if I'm going first, right? Because I need to know what's on top. It doesn't matter what order it's in. I just need to know that what is up there, and then
Right.
I play around what my opponent would put on top, right? And there's mind games to be played there, but if you're the aggressor, you need to just be pressing the button, or you just ignore it entirely until your opponent plays it, right? Like,
Right.
which is the control idea, which is like,
Hmm.
I don't care what's on top. I care about manipulating and not giving my opponent any advantage from there, right? Because
For sure.
that's actually the more powerful part of the ability is that you're manipulating what is going to be checked on both ends of the table, right?
And even
Um,
even playing like this like Cold War of like, oh, I'm not gonna press the button until you press the button, and then you're waiting to press the button for me to press the button, and so it's possible you could go like an
right.
entire an enhance with
Yeah,
with
without
neither of you
pressing
wanting to press the button first to get
right.
that
Yeah, and
last say.
that would be the ideal to me, right? It's like two players who are just like refusing to give up any sort of advantage to the
Yeah.
point where nobody gets the advantage.
And that's something that you'll only see in these mirror matches, which is why it's important to sit down and talk about it. And that happens
Correct.
for
Yeah.
not just Jiro, but for literally every character in the game.
Right.
Asterisks. I don't know what all my mirrors look like. They just kind of just throw punches, huh?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. A lot of them, it's like any game, right? Where one character is assuming the role of the aggressor and one character is assuming the role of the defender, right?
Hmm.
Somebody who's going to be, preparing a like a lance charge after the fact, right?
Yeah.
And that's how a lot of My Hero games go in general, where somebody like slaps a little too hard and taps a little aggressively, and then either they kill the opponent or they get just shut out on the
Yeah.
backswing. Um, uh, but like for for if you're playing an aggressive deck and you can high roll somebody, it doesn't really affect you. But if you're playing sort of a mid-range ear control deck, you have to adjust sometimes. Like if I'm playing the air Giro and I'm playing into a good symbol Giro, I know I'm going to die in turn 4 or 5. I just don't have the speed tools to be able to deal with the late chain 10-15 damage attacks.
Yeah.
So you kind of need to blitz them. And kind of and like pray. If you see speed hit, you see specialist or sound, maybe you can survive a turn. Just but it's like any other character in Tajira, right? You like sometimes you have to take the 6 damage attack opener so that you
Hmm.
can block the 10 damage closer.
For sure. And like the other thing about mirror matches is there is only like, especially with My Hero only being out for like set 1, there is only like X amount of decks that you can make. Like
Correct.
there's not like so much hidden technology. Like there are some locals that I'm sure have some spice and that like is going to exist, and I'm very excited to see that. But it's not like there's hidden technology happening all over the place left and right. So you kind of get to
Yeah,
sit down and look at your opponent's deck on this turn and be like, well, I
I
know
know
what
what it
this does because
does.
I know at this point in the game, I know what you can do because I could do that same thing because I'm at that same point in the deck, same point in the game. Am I going to die right now? Oh, I could push a little harder. Oh, I could totally die right now. I should pump the brakes just a little bit. So it's
Yeah.
really good to know like what your deck does like exceptionally well, because however much you know your deck, you also know your opponent's deck.
Yeah, it's not sexy to say like be good at the game to beat the mirror, but
Oh
that is
yeah.
honest. That is like the answer, unfortunately. But like it should be fun though, because you both know the way your decks work, right?
Yeah.
Like I think mirror matches are kind of like an oddity. And there are situations where you play a character that needs a sideboard out, and you can even sideboard into a different character that maybe has a like a polarizing matchup into something. Like for example, in my Shigaraki decks, if I'm playing on fire, I have a sideboarded Ida because that character
Yeah.
just does not have any tools to deal with Aizawa's, and Ida does, right?
Correct.
And same thing for Kirishima. Like I sideboard into Ida and I slap in 4 copies of Engine Drive so I can say, no, you don't get an enhanced step. Catch this 8 mid 5.
Catch.
And so like those things are like they can also be applied for the mirror. If I'm playing into another Shigaraki, maybe I want to be able to block a lot, and maybe like I want to play a little bit more of a like control-y game with Ida and just slap them down with a gigantic Recipro Burst.
Right.
But it all depends, right? Kirishima is another one where like if you unfortunately, like I would never sideboard out of Kirishima because he's so good and his package is a little different from everywhere else. But
Yeah, that was actually gonna be my next thing. So on our notes, I have what to focus on in building, and maybe we'll just get to this whenever we get to Kirishima eventually, right? Because like
yeah,
my goal for this series, if you will, is like over the next whatever we'll tackle like 2 characters at a time, and then just talk
yeah.
about mirror match stuff. So and let's not focus necessarily on building, but what do you focus on when it comes to mirror match practice, right? When you sit down and like you've got the homie Jose, right? Big shout outs to the homie, and you're like, yo, I demand that you play. We'll keep the example going. Jiro. Let's just
Yeah.
both jam the same Jiro deck. What are you looking for in more like vague general terms? Doesn't have to be specific about Jiro, but there's your examples.
So I don't know if the way Jose and I practice is a good way to do it. We just play whatever deck we're playing. We have never been like, oh, let's build a deck to test into, right? Even when Cassandra was really big in UFS, it was like, I know she works in theory. let's keep playing Lilith versus Quan Chi,
Yeah.
So like because we're trying to have fun and we're trying to just like figure out our own decks, right? Like a
Right.
lot of times we're playing kind of complicated things that need to be like you need reps to see cards work together, right?
Yeah.
But if I were to do that, right? If I were to be like Jose play Jiro so I can play Jiro, sometimes I'll swap. Like I'll be like, you play my deck and I'll play your deck so that we can understand how to defend into something like that, or like we can try to figure out like what's going on. Like I
Right.
did that with some of his decks. Like when I was like, let me play when so I can figure out what's happening, and I was like, oh, you just draw 4 attacks and somebody dies. Okay,
Easy. What a
easy.
baby game.
But like it's weird because that's not the way we practice. We never for one thing, like even on tabletop simulator, like I think it's easier to like test for specific matchups because
For
you can just be
sure.
like, I'm gonna go grab this deck and
Just go
import it.
grab it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in paper cards, it's just we're lazy and we're like, well, we have the decks we have built. Why am I gonna go build
Yeah.
go look for all these cards to build through? We already did all the effort to make these fancy decks. So sorry, long form answers. We don't do that.
So let's
short.
pretend that we were like in an audio like teaching medium, and I was demanding that you gave me some advice to new kids to focus on practice. I think the big thing for me when I sit down and I do like even just like theory crafting mirror match stuff is really just that idea of what's my ceiling, what's my floor, right? Initially like figuring out right away what's their symbol, what's their kill cards, what's their gameplay, what's their line, and just like stopping or understanding how close they are to the finish line, right? If you're sitting down across from a tape swing deck, you know what you do? You block everything that's not tape swing because you can't afford to give them that momentum. And so like understanding as soon as like Kirishima sits down with a void deck, it's probably got tape swing in it, right? Like that's where the point is leaning to. If it's a Kirishima deck, it could have tape swing, it could have Recipro Burst. Like that's a card that could exist in Kirishima and like would be way out of left field. You're not allowed to give them that momentum. Like you just you're not. And so there's like understanding the nuances of what am I supposed to do, not just in my game, but like practice versus literally every character that you have in the My Hero format. Like where there's only like 23 characters or something like that, it is possible for you to at least put a little brain power into it. You should know what every character does. That's like a no-brainer.
At the very least, like because the format is so like what I would call package oriented, right?
Correct.
Like know how to be able to deal with EA kicks, right? Know how to deal with charge lineups, right?
Yeah.
Or punch lineups, and then like that's pretty much like those are the big 3 packages, and everybody else has like maybe something that serves himself, right? Like the Tokiyami package is not played anywhere else.
Correct.
But like playing into Tokiyami is a thing that you have to be able to do. Like if that says 10 damage, you block it.
Correct.
And so like that's kind of like I mean you can go more or in depth, of course, but like because the format is small, your mirror matches are gonna be way more predictable than like a 10 set format, for example, right? You should have an idea of what your opponent is, their game plan, right? Their win condition is going to be based on their first build turn, right? Just by
Right.
knowing what symbol they're on, you should have an idea of what they're playing because the card pool is so limited. And because of that, you can glean what block zones you should be holding, what big attacks you should be prepared for. And like for example, if you're playing into a void deck, hold the fuck out of your low zone and your mid zone, right?
Right.
And it's even if it's Aizawa and he's just chucking highs, right?
Mm-hmm.
You still want to hold the low for that Recipro burst on turn 3, you know?
Correct.
And so it's like you address the package, right? The ETA package, you want to be able to not let them have any momentum. So something like capturing evildoers can really save your day.
Yeah.
What's their plan, right? Really saves your day. And then but like that could be applicable in any matchup. So again,
And
sorry for the
understanding,
unsexy.
no, you're good. And understanding like that genuinely, I think that like one of the biggest real answers to this is cyborging characters, which I think is technology that is going to exist for these first two sets of My Hero that is going to be so exceptionally important. I think
Yeah.
if you are not cyborging characters, you are doing yourself a disservice. I saw one of my locals, big shout outs to Travis, Mr. Omatsu on YouTube, I think.
Mm.
He was playing Void Kirishima and he was clown carring. He literally was playing every other Void character in his deck, in his sideboard. Yep.
Why?
Because
Kirishima's like that's the only character I would never sideboard out of.
that is so he was playing a very, very Travis, very, very lame Kirishima deck, and he would play game 1 and study how your deck worked and be like, oh, well, your deck does not have high blocks, so I'll just become Sero and I'll just turn all my things high, and you just like don't have high blocks, so I'll kill you, right? As opposed to picking up tools, he would just be like, this is the thing. Oh, your character is really important? Well, I have Aizawa and 3 erases in my board. Well, now your character doesn't matter. Sorry, Shigaraki, you're not going to poke around my blocks on the third move. You're just not a character anymore.
Right.
And so like he had this he was totally fine abandoning ship away from the mirror match to go to a more winnable matchup, because I'm not sure that they're like many mirror matches are quote unquote like mirror matches can't be favorable for the other person. It's literally skill based. So if you want to just roll your opponent from from like Shigaraki forward, like you like two Shigarakis going at each other is just like who drew the best blocks. It's not who drew the best attacks. Yeah. And so like I think there might be some merit there as well.
I agree.
Any last minute thoughts on mirror matches?
I think that
go ahead.
No. Brain empty, go ahead.
I think that there are some matches that are going to be absolutely fantastic when it comes to mirror matches. Things like All Might 3, I think, has one of the coolest mirror matches, because like you have to be careful with the draw too, because if you can't get those cards out of your hand, you're just going to give them a bunch of speed or damage. I think Midoriya mirror matches are going to be fantastic, because if you put your guard down once, he's just going to pop you for your whole life total. Like there's like the Jiro mirror match, Nomu mirror match has got to be hilarious, right? You're just, hey, dude, this one's for 13. You meant to say 6. And so like there's going to be these mirror matches that are exceptionally fun, and so explore those, have fun with those matches, and like find the nuance of them and master them.
Yeah, I guess my final thought is figure out the speed of your own deck and then figure out how to beat somebody who's doing the same thing, right? Right? Like it's how would I beat my deck? It's a mirror, right? And it's like a lot of the time it's like I need to either A, get past my defenses if I'm playing a control deck, right? Or B, bait them into being the aggressor and get around their offense, right? Like
For
and
sure.
like that's how it works out in this game all the time. It's like either you're wall breaking or you're walling, right?
Yeah.
And somebody needs to assume those roles. So you just figure out which one you're doing and how, and you have the special knowledge of having built this deck and played this deck. So yeah, you should have the calculator should be running, and you should be able to like, you know, be prepared for it, right? If you go into a turn as good Jiro and you're playing into good Jiro and you held 4 high blocks, you deserve to get ass pounded, right?
For sure. Yeah.
You
Very much
deserved
so.
it.
You deserve it. You deserve to lose.
Yeah, you deserve to lose that one for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Chris. Thanks for your time, man. I greatly appreciate it. This has been really fun. Next time we get together, we're gonna chat more about some specific characters. I don't expect to take too long on some of them, but like there are a million characters in this game, even for set 1. And I think talking about this and getting just like a base level for somebody to have some building blocks on their mentality and thinking is important.
Yeah.
So make sure everybody at home watching the video, go out in the description right now and go and subscribe to UnFunStuff. Go follow them over on Twitch, and if you're feeling generous and you wanna buy this lad of beer, go out to patreon.com/unfunstuff. I'm sure that you would absolutely love the support.
Yeah,
so,
if you haven't hit the subscribe button here,
oh.
ring the bell.
Ring the bell. I'm like 300 away from 1,000. It's kind of crazy.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm happy about it.
Very nice.
Anywho, thank you much, Chris. I greatly appreciate it. We will see everybody next time.
Smooches.